Hi guys, how's everyone doing today? I just wanted to say thank you for watching, and today I want to talk about law and order and the Civil War, or the alleged Civil War that is supposedly coming, which no doubt you've heard that's in relation to the recent incident whereby the FBI raided Donald Trump's private property in Mar-a-Lago because he had in possession a lot of top secret government documents which he should not have had to begin with. And we're seeing all the gymnastics on the right of them trying to make excuses or gaslight and find ways to get people riled up for nothing. What is it? The deep state, or that we become a third world country, or a banana republic, or that the FBI, they're behaving like the Gestapo. It's communism, or, we should all be terrified because it could happen to you. When I was a young teenager, I had a sports car, and one night I was out speeding on the parkway, because that's usually what young and dumb teenagers do. Anyhow, no big surprise, a police officer pulled me over and gave me a ticket for speeding, which I had to go to court and pay off and take care of. Well, here's some simple advice, not just to politicians, but to civilians alike, of what you can do to avoid entanglements with law enforcement. It's really very simple, so pay attention. Are you ready? Obey the law. Obey the law. If you follow by the rules, if you behave like a good law-abiding citizen, usually the police or the FBI or any other law enforcement body is not going to want to have anything to do with you. If anything, they'll respect you more because you're playing by the rules. Well, in this case, Donald Trump decided to take a bunch of files that he had no business taking. And that's not even under scrutiny. Fox has not said, oh, somebody came and smuggled them in without his knowledge. He knew they were there. They even gave a subpoena asking for them back. I don't know why they didn't do a search sooner, but I guess it's unusual because it's a former president. And he gave some of the documents back, but not all. And here's some few questions I've heard on the left, not the right, of course, because that will require thinking, as to the nature of all this. And that is, why did he take the documents to begin with? For what cause? There's no reason for it. Some of that information could be revealed in the search warrant, which our former president has been very tight-lipped about, and you have to wonder why. So, here's the simple point I'm trying to make, is that breaking the law, committing these type of acts, it is a choice. If it happens, happens because the individual chooses to do so. Why did I get that ticket? Because I chose to speed and break the speed limit. I shouldn't have, but I decided to do it and I paid the price for it. And simply that's the way it goes. And yet, even with everything going on, we're still seeing more excuses like, oh, the documents were allegedly planted, or the FBI planted evidence. No, they didn't. The FBI just doesn't go out on a whim and decide to search a place or arrest someone unless they really have a solid reason as to why to do it. Or that, also the downplay, like, well, yeah, the documents are there, but they're not really that confidential, or he declassified them. We know none of that's true. So, I'm not even going to waste time on stuff like that, But this goes back to a whole series of crimes that Trump has repeated, like while during being a president. And let me break it down for you. And this is obviously something the right does not really think about, The impeachment. He had a choice. He could have chose to run a strong campaign as opposed to getting on the phone with a foreign government and withholding aid in the expectation that they'll investigate and look for dirt on a political opponent, specifically Joe Biden. Had he not done that, he wouldn't have gotten impeached, The January 6th riots. He could not have gone to D.C. and antagonize those people into going to the Capitol. And this also applies to the January 6th rioters as well, because in the end, they had a choice. They could have chose not to march on the Capitol. Donald Trump could have chose not to get them riled up. But instead they did, and a lot of them got arrested for it, and they're paying the price for it. And this isn't something that's about the right for me. For me personally, it's, if anyone else did this, my reaction would be no different. If Obama or Clinton or Hillary Clinton, while she was the First Lady, if they went at the end of their administrations and took home documents that they shouldn't be taking, I'd be asking the same question, like, why are they doing that? What do they have to gain from that? Don't they know that's against the law or that's against federal law? But no, we don't concern ourselves with the question. a lot of these people still like to stay within their little bubble of loyalty where we're going to be loyal to Donald Trump no matter what. I'm not even talking about the media or sycophant politicians. I'm just talking about civilians, these MAGA Trump supporters who are just in the state of mind where we're going to support this guy no matter what. And it doesn't make any sense, because the one thing I've also noticed pertaining to this is that in the end, Trump will throw anyone under the bus. He doesn't care. He only cares about himself. If he took these documents, he did it for a reason, for his own self-interest. Not for the greater good of America or the American people. Certainly not for the integrity of the U.S. government. So the FBI, and right away, now everyone's being gaslit to be mad at the FBI. Well, that's pretty surprising, coming from the party that's supposed to be about the party of law and order. Don't blame the FBI, be mad at the guy who took the documents to begin with. If he hadn't taken those documents, he wouldn't be in this position. If he had just given them all back when he had the chance, then the FBI wouldn't have had any reason to do a raid on his house. So stop using that as an excuse. Stop trying to take this all out on the FBI or Merrick Garland or the judge that signed off on the warrant, let alone the head of the FBI who was appointed by Trump. He brought this on himself. So I don't know why some of you people are putting yourselves at risk for that. Let's talk about some of the reactions, like, oh, there's going to be a civil war, because of everything going on, because they're behaving like the Gestapo, which they're not. So, a civil war. Against who? Who are you going to fight against? The FBI? The local police? Law enforcement? The United States military? What, you want to go wage war against soldiers? These are Americans. These are people that were just doing their job, Like I said, Donald Trump had the option not to break the law, and as a result of it, he's in the predicament that he's in now. You think he's innocent? Well, let's pretend that might be the case, which is a possibility. I won't write that off. Then there's no reason to commit acts of violence or do threats against the FBI, because once the investigation makes its way to the end, it'll exonerate Trump and prove that he truly is innocent. There's no reason to do anything. There's no reason to commit acts of violence or attempt to wage a civil war, which is absolute nonsense. And most of the people that are egging this war on are people like, Steve Bannon, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Lauren Boebert, and other sycophants, defund the FBI. Well, geez, so much for the party of law enforcement. The one thing I also notice is that, like January, since these people, including our former president, like to egg them on to commit acts of violence. And here's the twist. It rarely reflects on them. You don't see them doing anything. Okay? Donald Trump or all these sycophants, that didn't engage in any acts of violence on January 6th. Josh Hawley, who gave us a little fist bump, and then he ran away like the coward that he is. And now a bunch of these people are in prison, have been criminally charged as a result of it. Did Donald Trump pay any of their legal bills? No. Did he give them a pardon? No. So these people are now sitting in jail. Guess what? If I'm at a rally, whether in DC or wherever, and if it's Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders or any other politician that I kind of have faith in, if they're telling me, I should go and commit acts of violence or I should go storm the Capitol, I'm going to be like, no, that sounds illegal. I'm not going to do that. I like you, I support you, but you're asking me to do something that sounds pretty reckless. So I'm going to turn around and just go back home because I don't want any trouble. I choose not to break the law. And now you have people committing acts of violence. Like in Arizona, you have people outside one FBI department building with automatic weapons, which to carry them, I hear, is illegal in Arizona. But to what purpose? Like, what are you trying to do? What is your plan? And to put it even in more perspective, there was somebody, sadly, who was foolish enough in Cincinnati, Ohio, who actually went to an FBI building with a gun and a nail gun, I don't get that, and inevitably engaged and got himself killed. If that person was a friend of mine, and I'm not trying to speak ill of the dead, I would have said to him the day before, be like, after reading his posts on social media, which he did, I would tell him that No, I don't think that's a good idea. I think you're going to get yourself into serious trouble. There's two outcomes. If you do that, you're either going to wind up in prison or, you're going to get killed. So this guy sadly threw his life away for nothing. And do you see anyone on the right trying to de-escalate or tone down the violence? No, if anything, they keep on encouraging it, Some of them said, well, we should be terrified. Terrified of what? Of the FBI? Or one of them, I think it was Marsha Blackburn, she said, if the FBI can do this to Trump, they can do it to you. Well, that may be the case if I took top secret documents that I shouldn't be taking. One, I don't work for the government. Two, if I did, I probably wouldn't have access to that type of confidential information. And three, if by some miracle I did, I wouldn't look at it and help myself and just take it home with me, all right? I know better than that. So does Trump. He knows what he's doing. He's not going to plead ignorance. If anything, he pleaded the fifth. And according to him, that's what mob bosses do. That's what criminals do. People who are guilty. Don't take my word for it. Take his word for it, if you have that much faith in him. What I would encourage people to do is stop putting your lives at risk if you're thinking about it. Stop committing acts of violence. If you want to keep supporting this guy, that's fine, but I don't understand why, because between January 6th and up to the present, we see a pattern of behavior where he likes to get people riled up to, shield himself, from the law, to get other people to do his bidding for them. And other sycophants like Marjorie Taylor Greene, oh yeah, they speak in their defense, but they do it from the safe space of Twitter or a CPAC event where they're not putting themselves in harm's way. They're not breaking the law. They're getting you to want to go out and break the law on their behalf. And when you pay the price, whether you go to jail or you get killed, they're not going to pay your bail. They're not going to pay your legal expenses. They're not going to pay your family funeral expenses. They're not going to do anything. They're just going to continue to gaslight people. And I see voters on the right fall for it every time, and it just boggles my mind. And I'm not some incredibly smart person. I don't have a PhD. I don't have a degree in political science. I just start to see the patterns, start to recognize the lies, which is bizarre because you think with some people who've spent a lifetime or a career of lying would do better at it. No, they're pretty bad at it, and it's pretty easy to spot the lies, whether it be from some of these right-wing politicians or propagandists or people on Fox. You can anticipate the pattern of gaslighting. Stop falling for it. Stop buying into it. And what I would say to Donald Trump is, you don't want trouble with the law, stop breaking the law. You don't want trouble with investigations or lawsuits, stop scamming people like you did with the campaign financing, like you did with Trump University. Start living the life of a law-abiding citizen and you won't have these problems. If he hadn't taken those documents, the FBI never would have raided his house. So it's on him. And the most bizarre thing is that he had it easy. By 2020, at the end of the election, he didn't even have to lie about voter fraud. All he had to do was just go home, leave the confidential documents in the White House, in a secure location where they belong, and just live his life in peace. Instead, no, he's one of these egotists that he has to enrich himself, he has to empower himself. He always has to do something, reckless that gets himself into trouble time and time again. So in the end, he brings it out on himself. If you're one of these people that are gonna commit acts of violence on their behalf, you're doing it for their behalf, but you're the one that's paying the price for it. And there's no reason for that, Obey the law. If you truly are the party of law or disorder, where these people aren't, they don't care about law enforcement. They only care when it does their bidding. Beyond that, they're only in it for themselves, Obey the law. Don't engage in some kind of civil war and just do the right thing. Also to politicians, and you'll find yourselves a lot better off. So, either way, I hope you understand, and thank you for watching.